Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at thunderwizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at thunderwizard.com. Get ready, because here I come. Hello, fellow light beings. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the channel. So, today, this is November 22nd, at least where I am, and I'm going to be giving you a solar flash update for today. And I want to share with you that it is my belief, through my experience now, that there is a portal bridge between the third dimension and the fifth dimension, which we can go to the fifth dimension and come back to 3D. The bridge will close. I don't know how long it's going to be open, but it will close. But for now, we can go back and forth. And I recommend that you do that. So, I'm learning as I go. As you know, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, I was, very late to all of this ascension, 5D, solar flash. All of this was something that I didn't know existed or didn't believe in. And of course, everything changed for me in June of 2022 when I successfully made contact with a higher dimensional extraterrestrial being. That opened up a absolutely mind-bending, reality-destroying experience, which lasted intensely for months. It is still going on a daily basis, and I am every day, almost every day, every now and then I might take a day off, but every day I am meditating and going into higher dimensional spaces, either to create my 5D world or to explore or to communicate with higher dimensional beings. So my understanding about this solar flash ascension event to what we call 5D, that is continuing to evolve. So in the beginning, I didn't know there was such a thing. I was interacting with higher dimensional beings that were visiting me and doing a ton of energy work on me and changing me energetically and showing me things. I was being shown family members who had passed away. I was talking to them, communicating to them. I was having experiences where I was taken into past lives. I was looking at multiple timelines in my life. I was being told the nature of the multiverse and how reality and time and how reality is actually created. All of that was just being poured into me in a very intense experience that almost broke my mind. But I'm very grateful for it, and I'm absorbing a lot of it. And if you're new to the channel, you can go onto my channel, look for the video. You might even find it in the playlist. It is How I Became an Extraterrestrial. If you want to know the first experience and how that all started, go there. So as you know, I won't repeat the entire story again, but at some point, I was given a shamanic dream, which showed me that there was going to be an ascension event that everybody on Earth was going to experience. People would believe that it was the second coming of Jesus or whatever their religious equivalent was, but it was going to be something far beyond that, far beyond what our religions have told us. And so I asked what it was, and what I was told was that the ascension event was going to be a series of solar waves of love. I asked higher dimensional light beings, what is this event going to be? So as it turns out, we are in that. That started officially December 21st of 2022. I'm telling you that not because I read it somewhere, because I experienced it. I was told that that was when it was going to begin, and then, I had a very powerful experience with the sun, and I now can feel whenever there's a strong solar event that's hitting the Earth. And so I know that we started that event, and every time we have a new solar event hits the Earth, we shift up a tiny bit more. The end result of that is that people are shifting. And there are people who are resisting this shift, very vehemently, very strongly resisting this shift, as is evidenced in the extreme by what is happening all over the world. By the way, I just ran into this yesterday. I don't know if I've ever heard this. I don't know if this is a normal thing, but Saudi Arabia got hit, specifically Dubai got hit with crazy thunderstorms, and there's flooding in the streets, flooding so much, like it's up to waist high, and water is breaking. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Winds that look like they're, hurricane force winds. It's just crazy. Has anybody ever heard of this in Saudi Arabia? I mean, I thought that place was a desert. That looks like Florida hurricane stuff. It doesn't look like. So my point is that all kinds of crazy things are going on, and I believe there's more to it than that. I do believe that there is a dark force behind all of these things that has the ability to manipulate weather, among other things. So whenever I see and hear this kind of thing, I start to think, the dark forces are really, really panicking. So it is my belief that the dark forces are trying to completely destroy our society, and they are seeking to destroy infrastructure. They are seeking to destroy economies, and they're trying to wipe out large populations of people. And I think the reason that they're doing that is because a smaller population is easier to control, and that's their ultimate goal. And also, these things tend to cause difficulties for people that are beginning to awaken, and they start to take actions. They start to rebel. They start to stop buying things. They start to stop voting. They start to stop participating in the global structure of things. And so in order to keep people from doing that, they disrupt their lives and frighten them. So anyway, I won't get into too much of that, but the point I'm trying to make is that the solar flash is hitting, and people are responding very extremely. And human beings are responding with very intense emotional reactions. So the people who are resisting their own evolution are beginning to come apart, physically, emotionally, psychologically. I've experienced it. I know I'm not the only person that's experienced it. There's a lot of people who have, people that you've been close to, people that you've known have either completely flipped out, or they've changed, or they've attacked you, or they've disappeared. They've acted very strangely. Many people, conversely, are waking up, and like me, I didn't believe in a lot of this, even though I was a spiritual person and I believed in esoteric spiritual practices and energy and multiple dimensions and all that. I didn't believe in a lot of the stuff that I just got through saying right now. I wouldn't have bought into that. I was definitely part of the globalist agenda, I would say. I wasn't, anyway. So I'm shifting and I'm evolving. And so a lot of people are doing that. But that's what's happening. You're going to go in one direction or another. The energy, the intense energy that is hitting the earth is forcing people to react in one way or another. If you fight it, you will become miserable, sick, angry, depressed, suicidal, crazy, bonkers. Or if you surrender to it, you will go through personal ego death and death to third dimension ideas, but you will awaken energetically, spiritually, and psychologically. And if we boil it down to something very simple, it's just about frequency. So don't do too much thinking about it. It's about changing your frequency, and you can change your frequency. There's two direct paths. One is to do what I teach, which is to do physical practices, meditations, energy work, which literally physically shifts your frequency up. The energy in your cells gets shifted up to a higher frequency. Then the emotions and the psychology follow. So you have to deal with the emotional changes, psychological awareness changes, and you have to surrender to those and deal with those sometimes challenging feelings. The other way is, I just realized both of them have to do with taking action. The other one is to consciously get rid of lower vibrational attitudes and actions. So you do things like forgive all the people in your life. Do things like do rituals where you seek to create a balance with your ancestors. Try to work through your karmic issues. Do things like go and volunteer at a vet, an animal shelter, taking care of petting dogs and taking them for walks, or going and helping out the less fortunate. One of the best ways to do this in terms of shifting your frequency is something I teach a lot of people. And it is that every day you make it a point to do a good deed for somebody. And it doesn't matter if they're in your life or somebody that you know. It has to be something that they want. So it's something that they want that will make them happy. But you cannot let them know that you did it. You cannot take any credit for it. You have to do it in such a way where they don't know who gave them the gift or who did something. In fact, you can do something for them and they don't even have to know anything happened. Just you did something for somebody else that was helpful to them. And you made a point not to get any attention or any credit for it. Those are two actions. They're both actions, I'm just realizing. Doing something for other people, forgiving, being helpful, or just going straight into the energy frequency and then shifting emotionally. They're both going to happen. If you do what I do, which is my experience is this is the easiest, most powerful, and most direct way, which is to work with the energy. Do physical movements and exercises called Qigong, mantra, other types of meditation, the Hul breath, the Huar breath. Just go onto my channel and do the free practices on the playlist. If you do that, you get right into shifting the frequency up, and then you become addicted to the feeling of the frequency. And then what ends up happening is you have to do the other work. You naturally start forgiving people. You naturally start being kinder to people. You naturally clean up all of the negative things in your life, like, bad food and alcohol and drugs and all of that. You naturally start moving away from your addictions because your goal, the carrot in front of you, is the feeling you get from the energy. So either way it works. I prefer my way because I'm practical and I'm a power junkie. I love the feeling of energy, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep that natural high going. And the end result is I'm a happier, kinder, more loving person. So before we get into the solar flash portal bridge, which I'm just going to tell you very briefly, I now believe this bridge is open and it is available to everybody. And I believe if you are doing the work that I am teaching, specifically if you're doing the interdimensional meditations and whichever kind of interdimensional meditation and or the CE5, you are already crossing that bridge. My experience is, now that I've been doing it for a year and a half now, my experience is that every time I go over the bridge and I experience in meditation the fifth dimension, whether it's creating my new 5D world or traveling or communicating with beings or whatever it is, whenever I go over there and I come back, my third dimension body and my third dimensional aura expands and the frequency shifts, and it's a permanent shift. So it's a shift by increments. And I've been hearing people talk about this bridge, being able to go back and forth. And I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand it. I liked the idea. I thought maybe it was a physical portal that people walk through, which I'm not against that happening. If that comes to pass, I'm not trying to talk myself out of that. I would be more than happy for a physical portal that people could walk, across. But for right now, my experience seems to be that the portal is there, and it is accessed through higher dimensional meditative practices as well as communication with higher dimensional beings. And that the deeper you go into that and the more often that you do these practices, you are going back and forth. Because right now, we can only do it in meditation. We can do it astrally. We can't necessarily take our physical bodies there. But our physical bodies change because when we come back astrally, our physical aura and the DNA and the cells of our body respond to the higher vibration. So let's take a look at the 10 rules for Solar Flash Ascension event. These are things that we need to understand. The first one is to understand that everything is energy. Physical matter is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. Number 3, this earth is a simulation. It is a matrix. It is a computer program, if you will. It is a virtual reality game. And it is vibrating at a specific energy frequency, which we call the third dimension. 4, your mind is a frequency antenna, which means that your mind can pick up different frequencies, which you can then bring to your physical body. Let's talk about that for a moment. Your mind is a frequency antenna. So, here are some things that I'm noticing. Physically, I am changing. I'm able to do things athletically that were becoming difficult for me. I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60 in September. It blows me away that I've been on the planet that long. I don't feel that old. I certainly don't look 25. I got little, turkey neck and all of that. But other than that, I feel great, and I do all of the things that I've always done my whole life: surfing, weightlifting, all that stuff. But what was happening starting 2, 3 years ago, more like 5 years ago, is doing, especially surfing, was becoming challenging. And it was becoming challenging to, do the hard work in larger waves. It was getting harder and harder for me to get to my feet as quickly as I used to. I was having to get bigger and longer boards so that I could, I needed more stability, and it was becoming an issue. And, I dealt with that by getting different equipment, and that helped a lot. But what's been happening over the past year is that my body is changing. I'm actually more able to handle, harder work out in the water. I'm more limber than I was. I'm able to get to my feet quicker. And the result is I'm surfing more like I did 10, 15 years ago. And that's just one thing. I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good for my age in terms of, I don't look as old as a lot of people my age, but that's anyway, that's up for people's, who cares? That stuff doesn't matter as much. But I definitely feel my body is changing and shifting. I have far more energy in my body than I ever have. And it would normally take me an hour of energy work to get to the level of having the amount of energy that I have, coming out of my body and in my hands. So huge shifts are happening for me as a result of this interdimensional meditation. And the more that I do it, the more results I'm seeing as time is going on. I have been told, and I definitely feel it, that there has been a change in my DNA. There have been latent, what people call junk DNA, that has been flipped on, and other negative stuff has been turned off. I can feel that, and I've been told that by my ET friends. So I know from personal experience that this is happening. And what I'm now coming to understand, that the ETs and the higher dimensional beings, ever since I started working with them, from the very beginning, the first thing they started drilling into me was going into meditation and going to what we call 5D and begin creating that world. Begin fantasizing, creating, and focusing on creating your perfect reality. Now, I've known about this, as I talked about yesterday. I've learned how to create my perfect 3D life. Same kind of thing. You decide what it is that you want, you become very clear, you visualize it, and then you just accept that that's what's going to happen, and then you start doing everything action-wise in order to bring that about. And I've learned that. That's in my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. So I've learned how to do that. But what I'm learning now, because these beings are pushing me to expand this, they were telling me to keep going into meditation and going to the 5D world and create it. Literally create it with my imagination, down to the finest detail, following all of my deepest desires, and all kinds of crazy, wonderful things have been happening since then. But what I've come to realize now, which I talked about yesterday, is that what I thought was happening when I was realizing what it is I truly wanted, and then visualizing it and taking action on it, what I thought I was doing is kind of the things that is taught in the law of attraction, which I've come to find out is actually quite inaccurate. Where you believe that you live in this fixed world, but you're just changing things around. In fact, I've taught many similar things. Even though what I was teaching how to do it was accurate, the way that I described it, I'm changing my ideas about that. Because what I said was that you were basically telling the matrix, which is still true, you were telling the matrix what to manifest for you in your 3D reality. Again, the assumption is there's this fixed 3D reality and we're just sort of shifting things around. And you're taking the things that you want and bringing the things to you that you want and creating the things that you want, but you're in this 3D fixed reality that has a past and a future. And what I'm finding out now in hindsight is that that's not what I was doing. In fact, anybody who changes their reality, like through meditation, people are, if you learn how to tap into the quantum field, people are learning how to do things like heal themselves of blindness, heal themselves of deafness, heal themselves of all kinds of physical, like on death's door, like you're going to die of cancer in 2 weeks, and they've learned how to go into the quantum field and heal themselves. Dr. Joe Dispenza, this is the work he's doing. He's having tremendous results. So we're doing the exact same thing. In fact, we might even be doing, I don't know, I don't want to compete, but we might even be doing, stuff even more powerful, because we're going straight. We're not just messing around with, trying to bring back what we want in the 3D. We're creating a whole other world. What I've come to find out is that all those times I thought I was creating my perfect 3D reality, what I was really doing is I was making micro shifts in my frequency, which would bring me to a different Earth. So the Earth that you are experiencing right now, the manifested Earth, your manifested body, everything around you, is the result of energy vibrating at a specific frequency, which creates a specific Earth. People might call them timelines. I wouldn't use that because timelines assumes that there's, a timeline going forward and backward, and I don't believe that's how it works. But for now, you can use that. But I prefer to think about I'm changing my frequency, which I end up entering a different world. So again, going back to the timeline analogy, scientists have been saying this as well. Physicists have been saying that there's infinite numbers of timelines, and anything you can imagine exists on a parallel Earth. Now, that's actually not what's happening. That's actually not what's happening, because the assumption of that is that that world is going on and there's a version of you living that life and you're one version and there's another version, and that's not how it works, I've come to find out. But there are infinite probable states of manifestation, and that is in effect the same thing. So instead of infinite numbers of timelines that are happening simultaneously, where, in one timeline you're, 10 feet tall and you have 3 heads, because if you can imagine it, it must be real. And then there's this one that you're in, and then everything in between. That's one way to look at it. The other way is to understand that there is a probable reality that hasn't manifested, that could manifest, where you have 3 heads and wings and 5 arms and all of that. The probability of that manifesting is much lower than the existence that you have now. So among the probable realities, whether you're broke or whether you are a millionaire, that is a much smaller probability. You're still the same height, the same age, maybe you're a little healthier or something like that. There might be slight changes, but nothing that you would say is impossible. You can imagine somebody could be a millionaire and still be themselves, or be broke and still be themselves. But the manifested reality where you're broke is a certain frequency. The manifested reality of you being a millionaire is a slightly different frequency, a micro shift. In fact, that is such a small frequency shift. I came to realize a long time ago that the easiest thing to do in life was to get money. It's the easiest thing. So those of you, if you're listening to me and you worry about money, the easiest thing to do to change your money problem is to change your frequency. Because when you change your frequency, which has, again, you can't change that without changing your assumptions, changing your beliefs, your attitudes, and your actions. When you do that and you act as though you have money, you believe that you have money, you take the actions as though you have money, meaning you buy all the things that you want. Again, it's very hard for me to have sympathy for people who come onto my channel, and I do. I attract a lot of people, I guess because I'm here to really help people evolve and get through their difficulties. But there's a lot of people on my channel who are constantly telling me that they can't afford to subscribe to $55 a month to the 90-day challenge, which is why I give you the free stuff, so you have no excuse. The truth is, though, if you get the things that you want, if you pay the money for the things that you want, the universe provides you with that resource. It's just, you can't wait for the money. I mean, you can, but it almost never works out that way. I've never known anybody, including myself, I've never known anybody who says, I can't afford it, so I have to stay in this crappy job. And then, once I save up enough money, then I can go ahead and buy the guitar, or I can take the trip, or I can quit my job. It never works. Never. Because the belief is that you need that job. The frequency of belief that you're operating from says that you don't deserve the money to have everything you want. And that's your decision, because the universe doesn't care. The physical matter of the earth doesn't care. If you want to be poor, you can be poor. You want to be rich, you can be rich. It doesn't care. It's not like the universe is saying, hang on, there's only so much money and I can only give so much money to so many people, so unfortunately you're poor. The universe doesn't look at any of it like that. Same with love, happiness. There's no shortage of any of this stuff. The only person preventing you from having the things that you want is you. So the easiest, most simple, practical way to start changing the frequency is you start buying the things that you want. What'll end up happening? You'll end up having less money in the bank. What'll that force you to do? You'll start thinking about how to immediately bring in more income. And you'll start going, wait, do I have any skills? Oh, that's right. I can counsel people in this. Oh, that's right. I can teach people how to play the piano. Oh, that's right. I can teach yoga. Oh, that's right. I can finally do the Reiki thing. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and put up a free website teaching, attracting students and clients to, this is how it works. You get out of your ego, you get out of your fear, because if you don't, you won't be able to pay the bills. And then the interesting thing happens is the universe starts giving you clients and giving you opportunities, and you start feeling really good about yourself. You start charging more money, you start getting more clients, and the next thing you know, you're like, that job? Oh yeah, I quit that a long time ago. I didn't have time. I had too many clients. So you have to, again, it's very hard for me to have sympathy for people who complain about money as though it means something. It doesn't. It doesn't. So that's just one example. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So where were we at? We were at, your mind is a frequency antenna. So the reason why you can't think your way into higher frequency is because thinking is not your mind. Thinking is your intellect. And your intellect is actually a software program in your brain which allows you to interpret reality after it has manifested. This is up, that's down, this is left, that is right, this is good, this is bad. This is analyzing and judging a picture that's already come in front of you. We talked about that. You're living in the past. If you're in the third dimension, your experience of the present is actually a snapshot of the past. Your brain records it and then interprets it and presents it to you, and you think you're living in that moment. And the truth is, your brain has just interpreted the different signals and created like a television picture. It's like, your TV, when we used to get, TV broadcast through the airwaves, the antenna is your mind. It would pick up the airwaves, and then it would, is your brain. The antenna is your brain. It would pick up the airwaves, and then it would put it together in this picture, which you saw on a screen. That's what your brain does. Your mind creates. Your mind doesn't just receive information, it creates. And so when you meditate, you are in that state and you have access to the quantum field where reality is created. And then it gets, transmitted to you later, which you then experience as reality. You could talk about that for a long time, but I won't take up all your time on just a tangent. Your mind is a frequency antenna. Your body is an energetic frequency projector. Your soul is a neutral observer. Your chosen beliefs dictate your choices. Your choices change your frequency. Your frequency determines your dimension. You are responsible for your frequency. So there are no victims here. So when we do the interdimensional meditations, when we do the CE5s, and again, I've got 2 meditations which I shared with you last time, the quantum field to reprogram 3D and the quantum field meditation to create new 5D Earth. You can do either one of those. You will get the same result. Whichever one works best for you, that's the one you should do. So this portal is open. And what happens every time we go into 5D and we either, you go to the quantum field state of light and you just start working on yourself, like giving yourself better health, focusing on things that make you happy, better health, more prosperity. You can do things like in the quantum field, for instance, if you're sick, you can imagine going in there and reprogramming the cells of your body. For instance, if somebody had cancer, they could go and imagine reprogramming those cells so that instead of creating cancer cells, it creates healthy cells. You can tell your immune system to do things, whatever it is that you want to do. You don't have to get that specific. You can just imagine a perfect, healthy body, the body that you want to have, the strength, the happiness, the joy, the health. You can just focus on that and spend time focusing on that, staying with that, allowing the emotions and the energy to flow through you as you imagine all of that. Come back in your body. You might have an immediate reaction. You'll come back and you might be completely healed. Maybe you'll come back in your body and you'll notice over time as you're sticking with it that the cancer is disappearing, that you're getting rid of whatever it is that's your problem. I mean, for me, it's something as minor as, I'm able to, I have more, I'm able to stretch more. I have more strength. I have more stamina. I'm able to, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you start to see these results in your physical body. And what's really happening is that every time you go there, when you come back, you've returned to a slightly different earth. It's not the same earth that you were in when you started the meditation. You started the meditation and you're at, earth, 7.6.0, right? And then you meditate and you come back and it's earth 7.6.3. You've gone up to, micro levels. Everything looks exactly the same. Your wallet is right where you left it. Things like that. Your car still has the same amount of miles on it. Not a whole lot has changed, but you feel a little different, and then your life starts to go down a different path. You're in a different earth. It's a different frequency of earth. And so what I'm doing, which I am recommending everybody else do, is to do the interdimensional meditations with the intention of going through this portal, because every time you do the protocols, every time you leave your body and you go outside, you're now out of that particular frequency of Earth. That's why the protocols are so important. Very simple, but very important. And then when you go into 5D or go into the quantum field, or however it is that you choose to do it, you're not in any particular Earth. You're not in any particular timeline. And you're creating what it is that you want. And then you come back into your body and you've actually come back to a slightly different Earth. And what's interesting is that, again, sometimes the results are immediate, and sometimes in a week, a couple of days, maybe a few months later, you look back and you go, wait a minute, this is totally changed. This isn't the same as it was. And you don't realize things are changing because they're changing so gradually that you still have your human challenges. Maybe some people I'm talking to, they're like, yeah, I'm just a lot happier and I'm a lot more peaceful and I'm, I just don't have the same problems I did. And, 6 months ago, these were people who were constantly having big issues that they were having to talk with me about. So anyway, you get the point. The portal is open. And I'm not waiting around. I have made the decision. I've come to the mindset. My mindset is that I just am choosing to believe exactly what I said, that I'm creating the new 5D Earth. And I know from experience that if I focus on something long enough, it will manifest. The only difference here is it's outside of my previous experience, and so my belief level is different. Whereas normally I'm staying within what I perceive to be the fixed three-dimensional world. I'm just changing and improving things within that. But I know if I decide, whatever it is, I'm going to go, 4 or 5 years ago, I said I'm going to move somewhere. I don't know where, but it's going to be someplace where it's semi-tropical. The water is warm all the time. I'm surrounded by forest. There's beautiful waves, empty beaches, great people, and I can afford to live there, and I can have everything that I want. I have no idea where that is, because no matter where I looked, it wasn't the right place. And somebody said, come here to this particular region of Australia. I did, and I realized it was home, and here I am. So I know I'm going to end up getting exactly what I want if I become clear on what it is that I want within my 3D world. But now what is happening is ETs are expanding my belief system to such a degree, and believe me, it's taken a while. They're expanding my belief to, okay, you learned how to do that same thing about creating your perfect 3D world, but this time create it in another dimension, create a higher dimensional Earth, create an entirely different Earth with different rules, and create the perfect planet that you want to live on. And don't limit yourself to anything. You want to live forever? Imagine that. You want to be 35 years old? Imagine that. Imagine anything and everything that you want with no limitations. Go and create that. And if you do that, you will manifest it. It will happen. And so I'm believing that it will happen. It may happen. There might be an instantaneous thing where the pressure builds up, and then, we have this solar flash ascension event where it's a big deal. Or it may just be increments. We might just be shifting in increments, and then before we know it, this isn't the same world anymore. Now, my belief is that these worlds are simultaneously existing. The 5D Earth is just coming into existence. It's just birthing. So it's like a child. It's very vulnerable, and it's, again, just like an infant. It's very vulnerable, and it needs a lot of time to grow, and it needs a lot of nurturing and a lot of nutrients and all of that, so it can continue to, manifest itself. So that's in the infant stages. In higher dimensions, hasn't completely manifested physically yet. That's my feeling about it now. It is my belief, based on recent experiences and recent messages, that the people who choose to stay, who choose not to evolve, who are resisting, who want to stay part of the narrative, who want to find value outside of themselves. They want to get the world's approval, their parents' approval. They want other people to like them and accept them. They don't operate from their soul desire. They operate from a desire to be accepted and loved. They operate from fear. Those people, they will continue to live in the world that we experience, and their world will get, by increments, worse and worse and worse. We are still living the experience that we're in on the same Earth. The truth is, we're not. We can interact with each other physically, communicate with each other, but we're not on the same frequency. I know this because there are people who have voiced to me that they can't tolerate being in my presence. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I say. Their experience is that I'm harmful to them, even though I'm literally doing nothing. And these are people I didn't have problems with before. So what I've come to conclude is that my frequency is shifting, and when they're around me, that frequency, they feel it, and the pressure for them to shift and evolve is so frightening, and their resistance to all of their unresolved issues pulls them back from that, and so they're actually repelled. And this is, the two earths shifting from each other. We're going to see that in people. Eventually, what will happen is the people who are evolving, their frequency will continue to evolve to such a point where they will start shifting out of that three-dimensional specific frequency to such a degree that it'll get to a certain point where the people on this 3D Earth, as it starts to shift down, you will disappear. They will think that you have disappeared. I was specifically told by ETs that they said, people will think you have died. Now that scared the crap out of me. I didn't know what that meant. But, what has happened is that whenever I get these, powerful communications, it takes a while for my energy to expand into it. And after sometimes days, weeks, or even months, I'll expand into it, and then I'll understand it, and it won't frighten me. So it doesn't frighten me now. But I'm realizing that there is a possibility where there will be a world. The third dimension, the lower third dimension will keep shifting down while I keep shifting up. And then I will completely shift out of that frequency to such a degree where people won't see me. And there's a real possibility that their unconscious collective might create a reality where, yep, there's a dead body that looks like me. So they'll think I actually died. So that makes it makes sense to me now as I realize what's happening is that the frequencies are getting further and further apart. And I do know for a fact, I've known this since I started doing these practices, that when you get to a certain level, you shift completely out of third dimensional reality. You still exist, but people can't see you. And this is what happens with people like Babaji and other spiritual masters who have the ability to walk through walls, appear, be in multiple places at the same time, who supposedly, they've been alive for, 5,000 years. They're at a frequency where, they interact completely differently with third dimensional reality. So right now, we have this portal that we can use, and we can come back and forth. But every time we go into 5D meditation, we shift a little further away from this three-dimensional reality. When we come back, our aura expands, our frequency shifts up, we change, our body changes, our life changes, our earth changes. But eventually, there will be more of our energy in that 5D world than there is in the 3D world. And that will be the experience of us shifting. So I think, for me, this explains it. And it doesn't matter whether it's true or not in terms of the specific mechanics of it. But what is important is to understand that this is our choice. We choose to do it. And we must continue to choose to do it. And the way we do that initially is we go over in 3D, we imagine whatever we want. And the great thing about it is, when you go over to 3D and you imagine whatever you want, come back in your body, you can think about it if you want. If you're at work or driving in your car, if you want to think about your 5D world, you can. It's not necessary. It will manifest. One thing I've learned is that if you do these visualizations correctly, once you've decided, you don't have to worry about it. So there are things that I've decided I wanted, and I've known that once I realize and become clear, conscious of what it is that I want, I stop worrying about it. Because then I go, oh, what I want is X, Y, and Z. And if once I say that, X, Y, and Z will come. So I don't think about it. I don't worry about it. And the reason I now understand is because when I'm in 5D, that's when I'm actually doing the work. That work is continuing even when I come back in my body. So it's like, when you go to, if I go to order a surfboard, right? I go in, I sit down with the guy, we design it, and I make an idea of what I want the board to be. Once I've told him what to do and I paid him the money, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to get a phone call in a few weeks and he's going to say, come pick up your board. He's working on it. He's building it. He's creating it while I'm off living my life, and I've completely forgotten that I even talked to him. This is what's happening when we go into 3D and we imagine. So you don't have to worry about it. You can come back into your 3D life, and if there's still some issues there, don't let them bother you, and don't worry about what you've done over in 5D. In fact, I forget probably 70-80% of the stuff that happens over there. So it's going to be interesting when I finally get there, and I'm going to go, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to this and I wanted to that, and oh yeah, I totally forgot about all that stuff. And then they're going to go, yeah, and we realized that you were going in this direction, so we went ahead and finished that, and we created this whole thing, and it's far better than what you could have imagined. This is what's happening to us. So go to the playlists if you're new to the channel, and again, you're 10 years old and you don't have any money and you're complaining about money. Go to the playlists. I give you everything for free. You can do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong, or any of the other meditations, the Hul breath, the Huar breath. Do those, especially the Huar. The Huar mantra is the sound frequency for the solar flash. So if you do that silently or out loud or just listen to it, it'll shift you up. And do the guided interdimensional meditations. Those are free. When you're serious about it and you no longer want to be 10 years old living at home and having your parents pay your bills, then go ahead and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. Press play, follow the instructions. It's the most powerful energetic practice in history, combining Qi, the most powerful Qi practices available, Kundalini Yoga, as well as the lightning center of the heart, which is the most powerful energy that humans have that almost nobody knows about. You have all three of those working for you when you do the 90-day challenge. And also here at 923.thunderwizard.com, the Maoshan 5-element moving forms are the elite practices. Now, you don't have to wait. You can go do them, start doing them now if you want. And if you do those practices along with the 90-day practices, you will have the complete Maoshan tradition as I've received it, and I'm sharing it with you. So go to 923.thunderwizard.com. I don't know how much longer I'll keep that up, but you get like $5,000 worth of teachings for a few $100. My books, michaelwilliamdenny.com, Interdimensional Revolution, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, as well as the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, and many other books there. Go check those out. And of course, like, subscribe, and do all the things that helps my YouTube channel go. For those of you who are subscribed, those of you who are working with me. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to do this, but it's also extremely helpful to have a mentor. I still have spots available for apprentices. That means you work with me personally at least once a month. If you want that, go to thunderwizard.com and scroll around and you'll see the apprenticeship options. As an apprentice, you get access to all of the other things on the Patreon channel. The 90-day challenge, the lightning qigong, the all the other stuff that I did, the mastery of shamanism, manifestation mastery course, thousands and thousands of hours of video. You get access to all those as well. It's really important that you work with somebody, especially those of you who are struggling. It's kind of saddening and amazing to me. There are people who contact me who have major life problems, major health problems, major life problems, and I say, you should have a session with me and we can find out what to do. You can talk to me, or you should sign up as an apprentice. And they don't. And it's amazing because they come to me saying, I've had people say this, I'm willing to do anything. Just tell me what to do. I'm willing to do anything. Great. Go purchase a session and then we can have a session. Boom, I never hear from them again. They're obviously not willing to do anything. But it's hard for me to have compassion for people who complain but don't do anything to fix it. It's a sign of serious unconscious resistance. And a teacher is important because a teacher will help you become aware of your unconscious resistance. You become conscious of it and give you the tools to overcome it. So, if you want to work with me, go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at one of the apprenticeship levels. or go to career.thunderwizard.com, scroll to the bottom, and purchase a one-off session, and I can give you my advice on what to do, where to go. All right, so that's it. I've done all the business to keep the lights on. I'm happy to take questions. Don't get your feelings hurt if I don't tell you what you want to hear. So let's see. Cats and Me says, honest feeling, I'm afraid and scared I will send myself to the lower earth. It doesn't work that way. So Cats and Me, I know a little bit about you. You happen to have, your brain works a certain way with you. This is just you. You overthink things. You are frightened. You have tons of self-devaluation. That's just your knee-jerk reaction. But I appreciate you sharing your feeling, because you should be able to share it in order to be conscious of it. So let me finish what you say. I'm afraid and scared I will send myself to the lower earth and won't be able to witness paradise, and it'll be too late. For me, it feels terrifying. So remember how many times have I told you that it has nothing to do with your feelings? How many times have I told you that actions and feelings are two different things? How many times have I told you that when you take actions towards what your soul wants, it is almost guaranteed you're going to have negative feelings like fear and anger and self-doubt and insecurity? I can't count how many times. So the faster that you can just understand that feelings aren't facts, and that feelings, that your actions are what is important. So this is why I make a list. There are days, I haven't had one like this in a long time, but there have been days, many, many days in my life, especially when I'm pushing forward in either my business or in my personal life, where I've woken up and I've been in such a horrible mood that I just want to put a gun to my head and blow my brains out. I just want to lie in bed and pull the covers over my head. So I've been doing this long enough to know that those feelings don't mean anything. They're just feelings. It's usually me reacting to me taking chances and taking risks and evolving. I've come to find out, just like when you go to the gym, you lift weights, you actually want to come home and be sore the next day. But when you're sore the next day after lifting weights, you don't go, oh my God, my body's falling apart. What happened? No, you go, all right, I'm in pain because I accomplished something. I'm going to grow. So when you take actions to make your life better, one of the symptoms is you have a lot of emotional and psychological pain. And it's a good thing. I'm not saying that I want you to be unhappy. I'm just saying it's a good thing when the pain is the result of taking actions towards what you want. So instead of focusing on how you feel, which is understandable, you focus on the action. So what I do is I make a list. If I know, for instance, in the past I've known, okay, I need to make more money, I want to expand my YouTube channel, I come up with a video course, which again, all of them now are at 923.thunderwizard.com. I come up with a video course about something that I find important that people have asked me about, and I spend a few days or a couple weeks making videos, editing the videos, packaging them. When I'm making those videos, in those past situations, what has happened many times is that I hate myself. I'm full of self-hatred. I'm full of doubt. I'm full of fear. I'm full of anxiety. And I know that it's because I'm actually expanding, putting myself out there. And so I've just come to understand that that's what's going to happen. So point is, it's not about the feelings. It's about what you do. So when I do that, I make a list. Okay, I make video number 1. Okay, 2, I put up a free website, and number 3, next day I put in a PayPal button, and then all I do is I just go, okay, I'm going to do 3 things today on the list, and I feel like garbage. I want to blow my brains out. I do 1, 2, and 3, and then I go, okay, I've done 3 things. I'm now going to go sit in bed and eat Cheetos and watch Netflix. It's just about doing the work. So Cats and Me have a list. I'm going to do the interdimensional meditation. I'm going to do something nice for somebody today, and I'm going to go to the gym. That's all you have to do. Once you get through all those 3 steps, you know that you're going in the right direction. You know that you're going to shift. And remember, the shift is causing people to have all kinds of feelings. All right, so if I beat that horse to death, I appreciate you sharing your feelings. But I want you to be able to get past that. I want you to be able to get to the point where you have the feelings and you go, I'm making progress. Look at these feelings. Instead of what you do, which is you allow your impulses and your feelings to control your life. And your actions, most 3D people allow their feelings and their impulses to dictate their actions, which only gets them deeper into those horrible vibrations. So you take the opposite actions, contrary action. You take the actions that are directly opposite what your instincts and your fears are telling you to do. All right. You say, I'm trying to do better. I've tried to catch up with people and treat them better, and I'm also working out to get healthier. Great. So you got the 3 things. You did them. You're good to go. You're guaranteed to ascend. How do you know? Because I've got the list here. And I'm in pain because of it. So I'm guaranteed I'm ascending. It's the pain of expansion. What else? Goob, it sounds like you're new to the channel, right? You say, I've had an immense amount of phenomena. I appreciate the fact that you said that in the plural. Most people don't know that phenomenon is singular and phenomena is plural. You say, I've had an immense amount of phenomena interacting with me the last few years, not sure how to decipher it all. So welcome to the channel. It sounds like you're new. What we do here is we take direct control over our choice to have experiences. So instead of having things happen to you, my suggestion is to take a more direct, hands-on approach. And these are the things that I teach. So assuming that you are new to the channel, my suggestion is to go on to the playlists, as I've said, start doing the energy practices. When you feel the energy practices and you like them, then go here to the 90-day challenge and or the 923.thunderwizard.com and start doing those practices on a daily basis. Read my books. Understand what it is you're dealing with so that you don't have to be in a place where you don't know how to decipher it. I'm here to help you decipher all those things and be able to know what you're doing, which is what I'm talking about in this channel. But it won't work if you don't do the actions, if you don't do the teachings. If you don't do the actions and the teachings, nothing's going to change. You're just still going to be floundering around. Anyway, I'm assuming you're new. Welcome to the channel, and take advantage of all this stuff. Go to the playlists and check them out. All right, I don't see anything else, so I guess we're done for right now. Thundra says hello. Hello, Thundra. I hope you're doing very well. And that's it for me, guys. You know the drill. So if the flash don't come and or I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, I will see you guys all very soon. I love you very much. Please take very good care of yourselves, and I will see you all next time.